you make sure to check us. Hello.
Howdy.
Getting ready to start our show for the week. All right, looks like we're live, so I'll just start things off. I'm Rob Wormley.
And I'm Jeremy Anderberg.
We are social media project managers for One Social Media, and this is our weekly show, The Social Truth, every Wednesday at 3 p.m. And today's episode topic was actually predetermined from last week's episode.
It was.
Joe and I, Joe, our CEO, we were talking about last week's topic, and at the end of the show, Joe told our audience members that we would be talking about social media reach websites.
Yep, yeah, because last week I think you guys talked about managing your online reputation. It's kind of the other follow-up part of that is kind of how to measure then your influence and how to actually kind of know what your reputation is online.
Right, so Jeremy and I have come to the show with a few resources that you can use today. You don't have to pay for them, or at least for mine you don't have to pay for them.
Nope.
Some of them you don't even need accounts for, but they're useful tools that you can use to measure the success and effectiveness of your social media campaigns and how far your message is going out and how many people it's reaching. So I'll let you start off if you want to.
Yeah, so one of the first things I was going to mention was that, you know, even being able to measure social influence is a pretty new thing you can do in the digital world, and so a lot of these new technologies are sometimes glitchy, sometimes don't work perfectly like you want them to. So one of the things is to just have a little bit of patience when using them. I'm sure there'll be times, even today when we were kind of testing things out, some of the stuff wasn't working entirely correctly. So with these, just have patience, and kind of as we learn how to measure influence better, those technologies will get more solid, just like anything else in the world. So that was just kind of a little disclaimer to start off. The first one that I wanted to talk about is called Klout, Klout.com, and it's free, but you do have to start an account for it. And what that will do is it'll take your Twitter profile and Facebook profile, and it'll kind of measure the number of comments on Facebook, the number of retweets on Twitter, number of mentions on Twitter. It'll kind of compile your number of fans and friends and kind of measure all those things up and give you a score on a scale of 0 to 100. And that really gives you a good idea of how influential you are. So my own score, I think it wasn't even 50, it was like a 43, something like that. And it'll kind of tell you what you can do to bump up your score. So it'll say share more links, it'll say go out and start more conversations, things like that. And so that's kind of what I've been using, at least the last month or so, to really kind of gain that traction on my own personal profiles at least. So
on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most difficult thing you've ever done, how hard is Klout to use?
the most
difficult thing you've ever done.
All right, that would probably, if I had to think about it, the most difficult thing I've done, I climbed a mountain once in college in Colorado.
So compare that with Klout.
Comparing it, I'd probably say a 2.
2.
It's very, very easy.
2?
I guess.
Jeez.
I don't know.
All right. So you're saying it's pretty easy to use.
It is very easy. Yeah.
Any reason why you shouldn't use this website to be measuring your social media campaigns?
I don't think so. You know, as measuring influence kind of becomes more of a science, I think they'll kind of figure out better ways to measure things like that. This particular site, Klout, is really using the raw numbers of mentions, of likes, of things like that, which isn't always the best tool for measuring influence, but I think it's a great start.
Yeah, so basically what it's doing, it sounds like, is it's compiling all that information that you see on your page, but you don't really necessarily know what to do with, and you don't really know what it all means.
Right.
What Klout does is it's organizing it all for you in one place, it's analyzing it all, and then it's spitting out a tangible number for you to be able to track your success over time. So you can, recognize your number and then take the suggestions that Klout gives you and then see how your number changes over time. When you revisit the website. That's pretty cool.
Yep, and it'll give you like weekly and even daily kind of looks at how your clout ranking is changing and kind of your trends for the week and things like that. And it even, one cool thing that I quickly forgot to mention was that it'll kind of give you like the top 5 topics that you're an influencer in. So for me, it was like social media and coffee and Kindle, which, things I tweet about a lot. And so it'll really kind of give you the ability to narrow in on even the specific areas that you're influencing. So if there's something specific that you want, you can make sure to be putting those keywords into your tweets, into your Facebook updates more often, which is very cool.
What you reminded me about something. I did look at Cloud a little bit. Jeremy said, it's fairly new, but a really useful tool. But one thing I noticed about Cloud is they categorize you. They give you a unique name on Cloud, depending on how much of an influencer you are, how far you reach on Cloud. So that's kind of another cool thing to be able to look at, to see how you compare with other people. And that's the thing. You can not only, can you look at other accounts on Cloud, or is it just you?
I don't know with Cloud, but what it does is it will compare you to some of your friends. So I don't think they'll give you information for kind of random people, but you can definitely compare yourself to your friends. So I know some of the other websites that I'm going to talk about at least will compare you to your friends and other people you're connected with, which is also a good tool to kind of see where you stack up.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about a site quick that I picked out to talk about, and the site is called TweetReach. Tweet, just like it sounds, REACH.com. And this site is really useful for people who want to know where their tweets are going after they send them out into space. Yep. You tweet something and you never really know what happens to it. So what TweetReach does is it analyzes a specific number of tweets that you've had in the recent past, and then it tells you how many people your tweet reached, and it also gives you impressions. And in addition to impressions, it tells you who the people were who shared your tweet that had the most influence within their community. So I'm just going to pull up an image really quick that I pulled before this. So yeah, TweetReach, check it out.
Yeah, and one of the cool things, is that in the world of traditional marketing and advertising, measuring impressions was a huge part of your research. Kind of looking in newspapers, looking even on online articles, kind of looking for those things. So to have this website available to tell you how many impressions you're getting, very specifically, is incredible. The other nice thing about this one is that you can enter any Twitter username. So you can look at your competitors, you can look at yourself, anything you want, and it'll tell you, which I think is a great feature of this particular tool.
Yeah, and I think one other thing that you want to pay attention to is you want to pay attention to the top users who are sharing your message from time to time, because if you're familiar with Twitter at all, there's an etiquette that exists, and it's nice to thank people who are sharing your message with their followers, especially ones who have a pretty big influence on Twitter. So that's kind of a nice thing to do, and you never know what that kind of networking can do for you or for your business. So that's just another thing to remember when using TweetReach.
Definitely. Yeah, so another tool that I've actually just found in the last week, and it was actually just even launched in the last few weeks. So it was a little bit glitchy today when I was setting it up, but it's called The Social List, and it's based out of England actually, and it's the-social-list.com. You can also just Google the social list, and I'm sure you would find it as well. But what this does is it actually measures Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Foursquare. So you enter in all your logins, and what it'll do is it'll give you a rank of all of the people who have used the social list, and which I think is up to about 24,000 right now. And when I counted mine, I think around number 2,500, which is pretty good. So what it'll do is, again, it'll kind of take all those numbers, all of those different ways that we measure things, and mash it all together and kind of compare that just very numerically to other people who are using the system. So it doesn't measure everybody. It's only going to compare to the other people who have used this tool. I think it's still a great way to really measure yourself, especially because for things like these, it's really only going to be influencers anyway who are aware and using these kinds of things. So that's another great one that we've even just found recently.
All right, so one additional tool that I use, the thing to remember is that for a social media site like Facebook and even YouTube, there are built-in ways for you to track how some of the stuff's working. So if you have a Facebook page and you click Insights, it's a really great way to see how your page is doing on Facebook. But if you aren't familiar with Insights, it can be kind of complicated and kind of, I guess, scary for people to use. So I just want to point out an easy site for you to use to track your social media success and your following on places like Facebook and Twitter. And this site is called, actually it's an app from Wildfire. And so if you just Google it, it's Wildfire Social Media Monitor. And it's a really great site. I'm going to try to pull up a screenshot really quick. Okay, so, nope, that's not it. Alright, there we go. Okay, so this is just a screenshot. You can pick any brand, your own or your competition or whoever you're watching on social media, and see how they've been doing over the last week, the last month, and the last 3 months. So I just pulled this. This is Starbucks. I think it's either Facebook or Twitter, but you can actually go back and track day by day how your social media following has grown over the last, like I said, week, month, or 3 months. And so this is a really useful tool to use if you're trying to compare your business with another business in your industry, or you just want to know how you're doing over the last few months, or you want to know how some of your friends are doing, or how some of the influencers in your industry are doing. This is a really nice tool to use. Like I said, Google it. It's Wildfire Social Media Monitor. It's really easy to use. You just enter in the username you want for Facebook or Twitter, and it'll give you nice, easy graphs like this, and it'll show you, your engagement rates and things like that. So it's a really awesome tool to use. So let's get us back here. All right, there we go. So
cool. Yeah, and then I was just going to kind of say, to add to all of this, as these tools become more in demand, and I think they are, just as more and more businesses get on these sites, obviously people are wanting to see results. It's obviously very, very important to the people making the decisions in businesses or whatever it may be. And so, LinkedIn has a great kind of stats page that you can look at to see how many views you have on your profile, even who's looking at it, things like that, which is really cool. And so I think it's my thought, at least, that these sites themselves, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, are going to get much better at developing tools to help you track. And so I would just even be on the lookout for those tools kind of coming into this new digital wave, I guess, in the near future.
Definitely. Well, those are the social media sites we have for you for this week's episode. We hope you join us next week. If you have any questions about these sites or anything relating to social media, you can always ask us on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/onesocialmedia. And send us a tweet at onesocialmedia on Twitter. Anything else?
No.
All right.
I got.
See you guys next week.
See ya.